Himota ya Nalgane ya I vavu Kaki vavu I bai nale bai Kaki bai nale bai Himo talo tale malo ki kitialo ki kiuna
Hayo no he ane no hayo hayo no he ane no hayo hano he ane no hayo hano he ane no hayo he no he yo ya ho we yo ha we ya he ya hano he ane no hayo.
The opening remarks, the words before all else, will be made in Mohawk by Elder Geraldine Standup. Geraldine is Mohawk and belongs to the Bear Clan from Ganawage, Quebec. She's a mother and a grandmother, and she has knowledge of the traditional practices of her people. She's a traditional healer and has been on this journey for the last 40 years. Geraldine is currently the elder in residence for McGill University and has been in this role since 2021.
I would like to explain a little bit to you before I begin this prayer. It is called the Undergraduate in Mohawk. It is the prayer that comes before all things. We say this in the morning when we wake up, when we begin our day, whenever we begin something new, as in meetings, or, anything that we are beginning. This is the prayer that comes before all things. And so here, it is a very long prayer because everyone says the prayer according to their wants and needs. I am just making sure that this is a very condensed version of this prayer, but I'm making sure that nothing is missing from this prayer. It recognizes the unity of all people from all races. It recognizes the unity, the spiritual oneness of nature and humanity. And so I'll begin this prayer. Gojokwa swadohusiust gani huesa negadi ahadagari wadekwa agawano hextu. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na ungwesu a toneo duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na yukini staha tiyo honzade toneo duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na garuni. Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na gotsua. Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na odesua. Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na ohterasu Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na onokwasu Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na gayotoksera John Hekwa. Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na gahisu Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Agwego skadi dwa hwe no ni gwani gura dano de tino huerado na gudirio Tonio duhak no gwani gura. Aguegoska did one known in a guanigura, Dana de Tino Huerada ne Oguide so Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in a guanigura, Dana de Tino Huerado ne Zeta Ogua, Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in a guanigura, Dana de Tino Huerado ne Zino so Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in the guanigura, Dano de Tino Huerado, na yuki sotogura de veras, Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in the guanigura, Dana de Tino Huerado, na Gayedi Nicaweraga, Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in the guanigura, Dano da Sidawano Huerado, na Sugati, a joke neck Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in a guanigura, Dano de Tino Huerado, na yuki sota sutoneca caraqua, Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in a guanigura, Dano de Tino Huerado, yotisto guarunio, Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Aguegoska did one known in a Suguaya disu. Tonio to Hack no guanigura. Ona gadi Tonio yada wawani harago. Look at tenos sugetigu, no isigina ne ona as a squadago. Ona wada rich. Odo de wari no dungo. No, I want to say that Tonio wanaka.
Welcome to the launch of Projections Quay. This is the inaugural exhibition in a series of digital exhibitions aiming to strengthen the inclusion of diverse and underrepresented groups within the Faculty of Engineering and the McGill community at large through art. I'm Wendy Owens, Director of McGill's Visual Arts Collection, often called the VAC, which includes 3,500 works of art in 90 buildings on 2 McGill campuses. It's part of ROAR, the grouping of the extraordinary special collections of rare books, Osler Library, and University Archives that's in the McGill Library. As a curator and arts professional, I know about the power of art. It can make people feel welcome, teach a lesson, and even change lives. Creating Projections Quay has been an adventure. It began when the Engineering Undergraduate Society's Indigenous Inclusion Committee, the IIC, approached the Faculty of Engineering with a proposal to have more works by Indigenous artists on view, with the goal of making Indigenous students feel more at home in the faculty. Because the VAC is in charge of all honor on campus, we got involved. An immediate challenge was that the university's Indigenous collection of 140 works was largely already on view in other locations on campus. We'd only a few works still in storage. Without having a whole new collection available, what could we do together to use art to make Indigenous students feel more represented in engineering? Through a series of discussions with the Indigenous Inclusion Committee, the administration of the Faculty of Engineering, and the Provost Indigenous Initiatives Office, which strongly supported the goal of increasing the visibility, representation, and inclusion of Indigenous cultures, we talked about what was possible. Ultimately, we came together with the idea of creating a digital art gallery with a selection of works from the VAC, chosen by members of the Indigenous Inclusion Committee, that could demonstrate the range of expressions by Indigenous artists. The result is Projections Quay, which features 30 artworks from a variety of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities, carefully curated by our Indigenous students. The exhibit will run for 1 year, after which the Faculty of Engineering and the VAC will continue to collaborate and engage with different groups for upcoming Projections exhibits. This is the first art exhibition of its kind at McGill University. I want to express my gratitude to everyone who worked on this project and to our partners, including the Indigenous Initiatives Office for their help with translation, First Peoples House for their support, the experts at McGill University who advised on what type of equipment we would need, and digital initiatives in the McGill University Library that made the scans of the selected works. The words on the wall label in Ginikahage, English, and French next to Projections Quay were written by the Indigenous Inclusion Committee. All of us thank them for their vision. In addition to Projections Quay, we've also installed 2 original works of art from the VAC collection on the first floor of the McConnell Engineering Building. Both are by Ojibwe artist Benjamin Chichi. One is titled Afternoon Flight and the other Friends. For me, the second work is symbolic and speaks to this project. A group of people who did not know each other came together and worked together toward a common goal and became friends. You'll now hear from a number of people involved in Quay, beginning with Provost Christopher Manfredi, followed by Dean of Engineering Jim Nicell, Isabelle Prévost-Aubin from the Indigenous Inclusion Committee, and McGill's Mellon Indigenous Artist in Residence, Dayna Danger.
In 2017, McGill University struck a task force on Indigenous Studies and Indigenous Education. The task force's final report and its 52 calls to action included several related to Indigenous physical representation and symbolic recognition. Over the last 4 years, significant efforts have been initiated to respond to these calls through the master plan and planned integration of Indigenous presence in new infrastructure and landscaping projects. The Projections Quay exhibit also speaks to that vision by displaying Indigenous artwork from McGill University's own collection in public spaces. I am particularly pleased that this innovative digital exhibit was born out of an Indigenous student-led effort to raise intercultural awareness with their peers in the Faculty of Engineering. I commend them for their efforts, as well as the collaborative efforts between several units over the course of several months to see this project to fruition. As this exhibit will remain on display for 1 year, I invite members of the McGill community to visit it and reflect on how their respective offices or faculties can also acknowledge Indigenous presence in their public spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Manfredi, Wendy, and to Elder Geraldine Standup for opening this event. Thank you as well to all our speakers and for everyone joining us today. It's my pleasure to join you for the launch of Projection Quay and the installation of 2 of Benjamin Chichi's works within the Faculty of Engineering Building complex. This exhibit and our plans for future exhibits would not be possible without the collaborative efforts of many people across McGill University. First and foremost, I would like to thank our students, Isabelle Prévost-Aubin, Dallas Garunia Nuru, Kennedy Bennett, Kaylee Spencer, Jocelyn Couture, Jonas Henderson, and all of the members of the Indigenous Inclusion Committee whose call on the Faculty of Engineering to make our space more welcoming and inclusive of our Indigenous students and communities initiated this project, and who selected the pieces that make up the exhibit. I also want to express my thanks to Dickie Choying and from the Indigenous Initiatives Office, our colleagues from the McGill University Library, including Wendy Owens, Michelle McLeod, Hannah Deskin, and Catherine Galbraith from the Visual Arts Collection, a part of McGill's Rare and Special Collections Osler Art and Archives, as well as Greg Houston in his role as the New Media and Digitization Administrator. I also thank our team in the Faculty of Engineering, including Chididmo for Robert, Lilo Baldeo, Antonella Fortino, and Shanna Gao for working with the Indigenous Inclusion Committee to make Projections Quay a reality. Thank you as well to Dayna Marie Williams and the First Peoples House for helping coordinate this event, and also to Carol Barzo. And finally, thanks to our multimedia team, Stu McCombie and Jonathan Roy. The goal of Projections Quay is to fulfill the vision of the Indigenous Inclusions Committee's proposal. That is, an acknowledgement of our Indigenous students, a step toward making the faculty of McGill more inclusive to our Indigenous communities, and emphasis on the importance of Indigenous voices within the professions of engineering, architecture, and urban planning. This is just one small step in a longer path that we must travel. The Faculty of Engineering has a key role to play in supporting our Indigenous students and building awareness and education within our programs to promote more equitable practices in the work of our professions. We express this commitment by supporting students, faculty, staff, and communities through our EID initiative, which among other activities is focused on increasing the number of Indigenous engineers, architects, and urban planners through our outreach activities and through our recently established IBET Momentum Fellowships, and by increasing Indigenous teaching staff and curriculum content in our programs. And as Projections develops each year, our goal is to continue to strengthen the inclusion of diverse and underrepresented groups within the Faculty of Engineering and the McGill community at large through art. As such, I'm happy to say that this is the first of many more digital art exhibits to come. I welcome you all to visit Projections Gwe in the McConnell Engineering Building lobby and engage meaningfully with the stories and cultures behind each work. And now, I would like to introduce the founder of the Indigenous Inclusion Committee, Isabelle Prévost-Aubin, who's not only done incredible work in establishing and developing Projections Gwe, but also in supporting Indigenous communities at McGill. Isabelle is a Métis student in her last year of her undergraduate mechanical engineering studies. In her time at McGill, she's been involved in the McGill chapter of the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, has held multiple executive positions in SMU's Indigenous Student Alliance, and has formed the Indigenous Initiatives Committee under the Engineering Undergraduate Society, in addition to advocating for Indigenous sovereignty and environmental rights. In future years, she wishes to continue to incorporate Indigenous sovereignty and power in the work she does in renewable energies and sustainability. The faculty is proud and humbled to be home of students like Isabelle, whose work continues to challenge and transform the professions. Isabelle?
Thank you, Dean Neisel. I'd like to begin by saying that this project is truly a community effort from the Indigenous students at McGill. It started when I questioned, along with my Indigenous peers in STEM, how Indigenous perspectives and voices could be acknowledged and centered within the engineering faculty. Amongst other ideas was the suggestion to construct an exhibition of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit artwork to make the environment in the engineering buildings more welcoming to both the current and future Indigenous students. I believe that the Kwe Projections project, along with installations of other paintings, will aid in reaching this goal. In this installation, a number of pieces from various First Nations and Inuit artists were selected to be displayed. During the selection process, the first critical criterion was the transparency of the history of the paintings, i.e. whether or not the artists and their nations were explicitly known, as well as the manner in which the artwork was obtained by the university. Then the diversity of the art was prioritized within the available pieces. Since different nations are recognized for various techniques within their art styles, and particularly given the format of this installation, we wanted to ensure that the variety in artistry was a notable aspect of this project. Finally, the bicentennial values of Indigenous resilience and excellence were emphasized during the selection of the artwork. It should be noticed that the descriptions of the artworks are listed in the language of the artist's nation in English and in French. Having the language of the artist's nation is of utmost importance, given that the latter is intricately connected with Indigenous experiences, perspectives, and voices. Language revitalization is a core element to Indigenous sovereignty, and this was an aspect that we felt vital to this project. All in all, the Kwe Projections art installation was formed collaboratively, with the help of many perspectives, voices, and efforts. It's a step in the right direction, but is part of a much larger movement, a march for Indigenous rights, sovereignty, and respect. This project is meant to be one initiative amongst many, and I look forward to seeing what other initiatives and resources the engineering faculty implements for Indigenous students, as well as their communities in the future years to come. It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dayna Danger. Dayna Danger is a two-spirit, indigiqueer, Métis Saulteaux Polish visual artist. Danger was raised in Misquamiwsibing, Treaty 1 territory, or so-called Winnipeg. They are currently based in Jojage, Moniang, or so-called Montreal. Through utilizing the processes of photography, sculpture, performance, and video, Danger creates works and environments that question the line between empowerment and objectification by claiming the space. Please welcome Dayna Danger.
Miigwech Isabelle, Bozo Ani Dayna Danger Indigenous Cause, Makwando Dem, so-called Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Dunji. Hey everyone, my name is Dayna Danger. I'm a visual artist and currently artist in residence here at McGill. And I'm very excited to speak on this project. I feel very honored and grateful to be invited to speak to this. Visual representation to me has always mattered, and to know that this exhibition, not only is it all Indigenous art, but it was carefully curated by Indigenous students here at McGill, is incredible to know that finally we are in the seat of decision making, of deciding what our future looks like and also what our walls look like. The fact that you're walking through campus, and my experience has always been, seeing other types of artworks or paintings of really historical figures and things like that. But then all of a sudden you turn a corner and you see a Robert Hoole, or you see an Anishinaabe painting. That's fantastic. But then I also wonder, for other people that are non-Indigenous, I feel like for them, all of a sudden, they're open to a whole other world of artists, of worldviews, of techniques that they've never known, they've never seen before, perhaps. And it can really just kind of open your eyes to all the possibilities of what art can be. And that sharing of our visual representation is really, really important, because it lets people know that we've been here. We've always been here. And we really do want to share these incredible works with everybody, and to inspire folks, to inspire, to make them think outside of the box, that hopefully when you see one of these artworks, you think about something else, that there's something more out there to discover. So my hope in talking with you today is that this inspires you to want to come to visit these artworks, sit with them, visit with them, bring your favorite cup of tea, bring a coffee, and come and look at the splendor that is the vast world of Indigenous art. So much gratitude once again to the students that went through this list of artists and carefully curated, this project for you, and then hopefully that there is more to come, and that this is just the beginning of something really amazing.
Thank you, Dayna. On behalf of McGill University, I want to thank everyone for their involvement and their hard work to make this happen. I'm grateful, especially to the students, for their determination, but also for their patience with the complexities of bringing this exhibition together for all to see. Thank you again to our speakers and to all of you for joining us. We invite you to come to the exhibit in the entrance of the McConnell Engineering Building, and to begin to get to know some of the amazing work by Indigenous artists in McGill's own collection. To close this event, I will now call on Elder Geraldine Standup.
Okay. Ona gadi datsi da wanu hwara do su go diso. Tia go do dasu ka wani na ti yugo ni go rio da na go skana ti ni ti wa da do heste no wa so da go wa oriana na dan skana go ti ni ti o disa wa da de tori o wana ka eto dan